Welcome in. This is Morning Kick Around. I'm Robert. He's Jason. This week marks 7 years since one of the most unique and fan-powered moments and stories happened in America. The Save the Crew movement back in 2018. It was officially saved after one of the Major League Soccer original sides, Columbus Crew, were almost taken off the map. The dot was almost deleted, but it was saved.
I feel
years
bad.
ago.
I'm wearing my Save the Crew scarf now because we're celebrating. It is 7 years, and we'll get into the actual details of the celebration here in a second. But this is a signed scarf. Should I be wearing this one? It's a signed scarf by some of the people behind the whole Save the Crew.
Is that Stern
campaign.
John on there? I see a John with an exclamation mark. I wasn't sure.
That's not Stern John. No, that's not, not Stern John. Okay, let's talk about why this comes up today. So I saw this on Blue Sky. This is a massive report covering the Crew since, I don't know, all the way back. They've been around forever. So they said, happy Save the Crew Day. This is yesterday, the 12th of October. Happy Saved the Crew Day. Where were you when you learned the news? And this led to somebody tagging me because Chris here said that he was in Dark County and he heard me talking about the Crew being saved on Sirius XMFC when I was doing the United States of Soccer. And I'm telling you, like, a rush of memories because that show, my old show on Sirius XMFC, which was so American soccer focused, we were on that beat every day. We were talking about Save the Crew. We were talking about the campaign. We were talking about the fans who were rallying around their club. I got pictures here of the banners. We've got the hashtag movement that happened in Columbus and really became sort of a national thing. Now, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to suggest there's Jurgen Klopp with a Save the Crew scarf. I think it's the exact same one I got right here. Me and Jurgen Klopp have something in common. That's pretty amazing. It is too unique not to note, right, Rob? That's what I told you. Like, it's too unique not to note this day and sort of how it came about and what it sort of represents. By the way, shout out to Ken, became a new member just now.
Ken.
Man.
Way to go, Ken.
I'm not taking any credit for saving the Crew, by the way. I was just kind of being a mouthpiece. I did a lot of interviews, talked to a lot of the people that were behind it. We talked to the people that were sort of trying to put together the new ownership group so they could buy the team off of Anthony Precourt and make sure the team stayed in the city. I don't think this has ever happened before. I don't think that anybody has ever saved their team from being relocated. And those moments of pain from a club being relocated stick with us. Like, you might be able to find Ravens fans who are very proud to have the Ravens in town. They've won Super Bowls, whatever. Great, I have the Ravens. If they're old enough, they will still tell you how much they hate that the Colts moved to Indianapolis, right? And obviously the reason the Ravens exist is because a team moved from Cleveland to Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
And so, and there is, and he's asking about the Ohio law. There's a lot of things mixed up in my head. So if I get the details wrong, my apologies. But there's the Modell law. This is what Thomas is referencing. The fact the legacy of the Browns moving to Baltimore, the Modell law playing a crucial role is great. So what these guys are talking about is because Art Modell took the Browns and went to Baltimore, and some public money had been involved in building the Browns a stadium, the state of Ohio passed a law that said if there's public money involved in the construction of your venue, you have to give notice. You have to let people know you want to move the team and give local ownership a chance to buy the club at fair market value. Now, I don't know, man. Like, there's some details here that are beyond me as a regular Joe. But I don't know how enforceable it will ultimately would have been in the end if they decided to challenge it. But it absolutely played a role in forcing Precourt to go, okay, wait a second. Now, I think also it's worth mentioning that Don Garber threaded a needle. I don't love showering Don Garber with praise, although I think he's done a pretty damn good job in the big picture for Major League Soccer. People don't like Don. He represents big corporate fat cats and all that stuff. Okay, fair. But remember that what was going down in Cleveland is that Anthony Precourt had the right to move the team if Major League Soccer really couldn't have stood in their way. They didn't have a legal standing to keep Anthony Precourt from moving the team to Austin. And it became pretty clear in the beginning, like, or as soon as the word started dropping, Grant Wall with the story that the team wanted, the organization wanted to move the team to Austin. That Anthony Precourt wanted that. That Anthony Precourt bought the team under the pretenses ultimately that he wanted to move the team to Austin, right? And Columbus wasn't cool enough for Anthony Precourt. So he was gonna move the team to Austin where all the cool people were going. And obviously, Major League Soccer shouldn't have sold it to Anthony Precourt if he was going to move it in the first place, because I don't think clubs should be moving, period. But again, this is part of American sports history. So when it came down to how do you make this right for all parties involved, the only way to do it is what MLS ultimately did. And again, probably because of the Modell law being pushed in that direction, MLS brings people to the table, or a group becomes a factor in trying to keep the team in town. I think somebody give me the doctor's name. Somebody knows the doctor's name from Columbus and can help me remember that, because that's escaping me at the moment. But there was a local doctor who helped put together the group, got the Haslam's involved, and allowed for the team to be purchased. And then obviously MLS said, well, look, we don't want to go to court with Anthony Precourt. Let's give him an expansion team in Austin. And hopefully that will make everybody whole. Dr. Pete, I don't remember his last name. Pete Edwards. I think it's Dr. Pete Edwards is his name. So thank you to Andrew for that. And thank you to Andrew for saying that I was vital. Again, whether or not I was, I just know that it was important to me that the crew not be stolen away from Columbus. And in the end, we got an incredible story. Again, I think something completely unique in American sports.
Yeah, I like that comment just above that from a homeless shoe saying he was working at Target at the time, started screaming in joy when I found out the crew were saved. Several coworkers were scared by it. That's a fun reaction. I do remember a big relief, because not too many times or ever does the wants and demands of the big money makers get usurped by a grassroots movement. So it really is a moment to cherish and rejoice in. And as we're talking about it now, thinking back on how Precourt kind of artificially made it look like the crew shouldn't be there. It was almost like the plot of the motion picture Major League. You know, there was reports of him closing gates and kind of making the experience less pleasant, and in more midweek games and stuff that seriously was out of a slapstick comedy film to get the ultimate goal of moving the team. But imagine the crowd in Major League Baseball rebelling against ownership and rallying and filling the crowd and getting media on their side to keep the team.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, and maybe Andrew has better details on this, some of you Columbus people, if I remember correctly, the thing that allowed the Modell law to apply wasn't even Crew Stadium, because of course that's where they were playing, historic Crew Stadium. It had something to do with like a parking garage or something that involved public funds or public concessions, and that's how this all got wrapped up with the Modell. I maybe have that detail wrong. I mean, maybe that's just apocryphal.
Was there fairgrounds? I know there was fairgrounds adjacent to the old stadium as well.
Yeah, it's that big expanse there. But I just remember it being like something not as sort of central to the ideas, like, oh, public money went into building Crew Stadium, because I believe Lamar Hunt paid for Crew Stadium himself to build that's first ever soccer specific stadium for an MLS team. Obviously, it wasn't anything modern, and eventually it needed to be replaced. Yeah, parking lot next to the stadium involved public funds, and that's how it got all wrapped up in the Modell law,
that's the hook.
Yeah, that forced Anthony Precourt to go to court to try to pull the team out of Columbus, which then obviously led to even a delay of a little bit, helped start that process, right? And again, the law dictated that there needed to be a conversation with potential owners who were going to keep the team in Columbus. And I just at the heart of this, right, and thing I talked about on the radio so many times during this period is I really don't like this idea that we are customers and that those are just a business selling us a service or selling us an entertainment experience. That's not how sports work. That's not how professional sports work. It's never been how we feel about our teams. The players will change, the coaches will change, sometimes the owners will change, but we are still connected to these teams in meaningful emotional ways that mean we shouldn't be treated like we're just replaceable as consumers of the team. It's just a business. No, if you're going to treat it as just a business, you will fail in any attempt. This is why when we talk to Chris, when we talk about these teams starting up in USL, new teams coming into the American soccer picture, what we talk about, what we always try to get to is, what are you doing to connect to the people in your town so that they have buy-in, so that they feel some ownership over your team, because that's how you create connections that last. But your side of it as owners is to keep the team where it is, because it doesn't belong to you. It may, on paper, you may have the thing that says you own the team, but it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the people who show up every week, who wear the colors, who bring the banners, who fly the flags. That's who it belongs to.
Yeah, Thomas Dupree, one of our new members from last week, saying that it would have been a tragedy to lose the crew. Think about all the things that have happened since this Save the Crew movement. A brand new stadium was built, one of the nicest soccer stadiums in the country, and Crew have gone on to one of their most successful periods as a club since then. And we talked about the owner. There's some pros and cons. Obviously, not everything is shiny. I mean, the new ownership is also NFL ownership, and so there's some mixed what do you call it,
results. Yeah, there's some mixed results there. Yeah, Jimmy Haslam, D Haslam own the team. They own the majority of the team with Dr. Pete and everybody else. And what did the Haslams do when Inter Miami came to Ohio? They took the game up the road to Cleveland so they could get more people in the building, and we didn't love that, right? Again, it's Columbus's team. Why are you moving a game to Cleveland? At the same time, last week we had Jimmy Haslam saying MLS needs to improve the quality of its product if it wants to get TV viewership. I like that as somebody willing to push the league forward and be behind the scenes in those meetings, in those boardrooms, saying we should spend more money on our product on the field in order to be better. Because I think as American soccer fans, as MLS fans, we want the league to take step forwards that way.
Yeah, indeed we do. And Save the Crew. Hurrah, 7 years on from it, and a fantastic feat. Hopefully something that will never have to be repeated, but it's a great precedent that it is in fact possible.
Yeah. All right, can we switch over to like a little bit of bonus extra time here on this morning kick around? I think we ended up with 2 members. I set the goal at 3, but I'll just give you a couple of extra notes, news items out there. We talked at the beginning of the show in long balls about the NISA Pro Cup starting today. Games ongoing, an hour away from where Robert Kerr is sitting right now. And I have an update. It's not a good one. From our friend Dan Creel, who has been on our show to talk about other nonsensical lower division soccer things. Modesto City abandoned the match at halftime that they were playing against Northern Colorado Hailstorm. They only brought 9 players, and so they abandoned the game when they were down 4-0 and ended up with Northern Colorado playing an inter-squad scrimmage instead. So not an auspicious beginning to the NISA Pro Cup here on this Monday.
That's a good note, because I was refreshing the Fat Mob, and the 4-0 halftime score line hasn't changed. So I wasn't sure if that was an updating issue or if something on the ground happened. So that's wild. 9 players showed up, and that they started the game is wild without a full squad. So yeah, definitely an interesting start to the relaunch of the National Independent Soccer Association. So maybe just a rough start, but games to be played throughout the week, and hopefully that is an anomaly and not how the rest of this tournament plays out. But yeah, not a great start, and thanks for the update from Dan Creel there.